Okay, welcome back to part 2 of this wonderful painting. Isn't this looking nice so far? Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to crack on because we have loads and lots of stuff to do. I'm going to start the water by doing the reflections up here, okay? I get this part done along with these 3 reflections here, alright? So, and we'll work from our bridge down then. Okay, brushes. Let me get a brush. I need to get a brush. I'm going to use this nice flat brush I have here, okay? I'm going to dampen that. Now I've cleaned turpentine, clean tissues, the whole lot. And fresh paint as well. I still have my same palette. I'm going to start with the blue of the sky, alright? So I'm just going to take some white. And I maybe should have changed my palette, but look, it's okay. We can work with what we have. I'm going to take some of that mauve, okay? The reason being, a reflection will be slightly darker than what it's reflecting, okay? In fact, I may even take a hint of the browny colour just there. It's gone hard, but just a hint of some brown. Let me take a hint of black, actually. I'm going for a grey kind of a blue. I don't want to go for a very rich, bright blue. Because the colours in the painting will be slightly subdued in the water, okay? They won't be as rich and as bright in the water as they are in the sky. Alright, it's just one thing to bear in mind. Let me maybe just add a slight touch of phthalo blue into that, just a tiny touch. Make it a bit more just on the blue side. It's a little bit warm there, I think. A little bit too warm. Okay, that's slightly better. But you know, I don't want this to be very rich in colour, okay? I don't want this to be very bright, because a natural reflection will be kind of slightly darker than the colour is reflecting. Does that make sense? Take a bit more black. And you have to allow for the depthness of the water as well, okay? Because you're going to be seeing slightly through the water, which again will make it darker. So, okay, I'll just go down that far, I think, just for now. Alright, I'm going slightly through my lines as well. And I might add into that just a little white here and there, just to suggest the clouds, okay? Maybe a hint of black, just to make it slightly on the grey side. Okay, a little bit too dark. And it's only just kind of a very light suggestion of clouds, okay? And I will soften this in, but I suppose it's more or less just to kind of break up the water, break up the surface of the water a little bit. Alright, that's all it's for. So I leave it like that, and then I get my soft brush, and I'm going to just kind of soften it in with that. You see, just like so, nice and soft. Going left to right, left to right. You see, so we now have like a general impression of the sky. Next I'm going to use, I might use the same brush and mix a nice green, okay? I'll give it a quick clean. I'm going to mix a nice dark green. And when I say dark, I mean a dark, rich green, okay, for the reflections. Some lamp black, cadmium yellow. Okay, and a hint of Naples yellow. That just makes it that slightly little bit chalky, alright? Now, I'm going to put that in. I'm going to pull the reflection down, like so. And don't worry if it kind of goes down into the water, okay? That's absolutely fine. Really don't worry about that at all. I'm bringing it up there. And I'm going to pull it, you see. And I'm picking up some bits of the blue then, that's nice, alright? That's good, that's what you want. Let me take another little bit of yellow, little bit of black. And a tiny amount of turpentine just to dampen that ever so slightly. If you find this a little bit dry, just take more turpentine in your mix, okay? I might take a hint of brown as well, actually, just to warm it ever so slightly. The idea is just to get a very loose representation of your reflections, alright? Just very, very loosely. And I'm picking up some of the blue as well, you see? I'm picking up some of that light blue and I'm pulling it down into the reflection, or down into the water rather, and up into the reflection. So you can kind of get a sense of what I'm doing, yes? Now I'm going to start putting some darker colours into it because it needs to be nice and dark to show off the richness of the colour, okay? So some black and some yellow, nice rich dark green, and up on top, you see, pull some of that dark down just like that. Because it's dark all the way along the top, isn't it? So let's just put a little bit of darkness just across all the way and give it a little flick down. You can kind of see what I mean. So it looks more natural, doesn't it? Having it that little bit darker up on top. I'll add a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to bring that colour over here as well. I'll do the same over here. Now I'll fill all this in with dark hair because I'll show you then I'm going to kind of pull some lights through the dark, okay? So just like that. I'm going to just dampen my brush again ever so slightly. Take some of the yellow, little of the black. I don't want this to be too bright and too rich and too kind of green, okay? So I'm being careful with my colours. I don't want it too bright. I want it a little bit darker, if anything. Alright? Pull that all the way down. You can see I'm pulling my brush strokes downwards all the time, alright? Don't kind of go left and right. You can go left and right, but I do finish my brush strokes downwards like this. Okay? And a little bit there, you see. So we've lots of natural lights and darks now going through our trees. Okay? So I'm going to stand back for a moment and have a good look at this. Next thing I'm going to do is start popping some really bright colour. Let me get some cadmium yellow. I'm going to start popping some nice bright yellow into that. Just to show the reflection of those light areas. Let me take a little bit of cadmium yellow. Just cadmium yellow on its own. Now it's not pure yellow, okay? Look, it's mixed slightly with the green. So you can see it's not very bright, you see what I mean? And I'm just popping a little bit through here and there, where you think the lights are hitting the reflections, okay? You can see that? And we will soften this then with our soft brush in just a moment. But just kind of pop a couple through here and there, look. That, couple there. It's kind of the same, but in reverse, alright? And a little bit there, like that. And we have another little bit then on the inside one here, kind of coming off at an angle like that. Okay? And then I'm going to take my soft brush, okay? It's relatively clean. And I'm going to very gently, let me just get my reference photograph back here. I'm going to very gently pull it down, okay? Just very gently soften them down. Give it a little wipe. Do the same over here. The same here, okay? Very, very gently. Now, how's that so far? Okay, you see, that's not bad so far, is it? Now, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to get a little flat brush. I need something really flat, okay, for this. Let me see now, which flat brushes do I have? Okay, I have a little flat brush here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start taking some white, all right? Some of that light colour, that light bluey white, and I'm going to just start suggesting some ripples in the water, okay? And they're kind of cutting into that reflection of the trees. You see? And in doing so, you're picking up some of the green, so you're pulling some of the green out, you see, into the bright colour, and you're pulling some of the bright colour into the green at the same time. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, I'm not going to go crazy with this, it's just a little amount. It's just to show a little bit of movement in the water, that's all. We go in here like that with a little bit. And I'm keeping my brush nice and clean. So we're getting some nice movement now, yes? I'll put a little along here, just cutting into that. And then what I'm going to do is, right, I'm then going to just soften very gently across into my reflection with some of them, all right? Soften them out very gently. Then I'm going to take my little knife, my little palette knife, sharp edge on it, take a little tiny amount of that, and I'm just going to cut through some of my reflections, just to give a little bit of light, catching some of those as well. Okay? Now it's not on the photograph, but this just helps, I find, break up the reflection ever so slightly. Just a little bit. You see? Just a touch. And that's quite a nice reflection now, isn't it? You see, what I want to do is I want to keep the reflections soft, but when I get to doing the bridge, then I'm really going to do some really nice reflections with the bridge, and I can work the greens into that then as well. That's the idea. I hope it works out. Okay, let me see what I was going to do. Okay, I'm going to take my flat brush with a little burnt umber, and I'm just going to soften just the burnt umber just a little bit here and there, bring the land together with the reflection, okay? Just put a little touch of colour across where they both meet. Now, I know you can't see this. On the photograph, there's a kind of a nice bright colour going across there. You could put that in if you wanted. Let me try a little bit of Naples yellow with sienna. Put a little dot of it across here and there, just to suggest that there's a little piece of a sandy colour, a warm sandy colour over there, a bit of bushes or pebbles and all that kind of stuff. You see, that's just fine, that's enough. Let's continue down and do our bridge, all right? Okay, I'm thinking there's many different ways of doing this. I think I'll start with the darker colour. I think I'll put the darker colour in first. Let me get another brush, okay? Another rough flat brush. And let's mix some dark colour. Go with some lamp black, little burnt umber. I don't want to go kind of too dark with this too soon, so a little Naples yellow into that. This may just look very dark on camera, but it's just a very, it's not, it's kind of a dark grey, warm dark grey, okay? I'm going to start with that. And again, this really is just the underpainting, let's call it, okay? Just like what I did up on top. It's just a very loose underpainting, just to get the colour down. So I'm making this quite thin. It's not very, very thick paint, okay? It's like a creamy consistency. That's what I would say. All right. Just tipping away nice and easily. And I don't know if I'm going to get this done in 2 parts, to be quite honest. It's a very, very long tutorial. It's going to take a while, and there's a lot of work in it. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get this done in 2 parts, but bear with me. I will try. I do like to take my time. I don't want to be rushing when it's coming on so nicely. Do you know what I mean? I want to take my time and do it nice. Now this is just a quick underpainting done, all right? Then I'm going to crack on and I'm going to do the lights, all right? Let me just get those lights in. So I'll find another brush now for those lights. And let's go with this nice flat one here. And let's do the lights, but I'm going to do them nice and dark, okay? So not very bright like what's here, slightly darker. Naples yellow, burnt sienna. I think I'll start maybe with that. Let me just take a look. Okay, they need to be somewhat similar, so let's take a hint of yellow in that, another little hint of yellow, because there is a lot of yellow in there. Go with that for now. So you see what I mean? It's a nice warm colour, isn't it? Comes down. And the trick here, I suppose, the worry here is, because I'm putting like an orange into a blue, I'm mixing, you see this wet on wet, so it may tend to go a little green. So just be a little careful with that, all right? Anywhere there's blue and I'm mixing browns or yellows, you could end up getting a green. So just be very, very careful with that. Now, as it comes down, I'm going to kind of give it a little wiggle like this, look. All right? And I'm using a little burnt sienna with burnt umber. I'm going to go darker here now. If you look on the reference photograph, this light is sort of almost merges into the dark, doesn't it? Up here, it merges together with the dark, like that. So I'm going to give this, I'm using my flat brush on its side, and I'm picking up some of this darker colour as well, look, and I'm pulling it across into that light, and vice versa. Okay, and that now is creating wonderful movement in the painting, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to go back now to my light colour, take some Naples yellow, go into this burnt umber and sienna mix, and I'm going to start, let me take a hint of yellow as well actually. I'm going to start pulling some of that colour. I'm going to start wiggling it just along where they meet, okay? I'm giving it a little small little wiggle. So you can see I'm going out into the brown colour, that dark colour, and then I'm pulling the dark colour kind of into the yellowy colour as well. And then I'm cutting across into the blue at the same time, you see? I'm doing the same now with the green. I'm going to go out into the green slightly. just to show a lot of movement, okay? So I'm pulling some of the green into the yellow and some of the yellow out into the green. How's that? Next we have that nice dark coming down, don't we? That little dark line in the middle. Lovely, lovely dark line. I'm going to take my flat brush, not my flat brush, sorry, my round brush. I'm going to go with some burnt umber, little black, not too much. Plenty of turpentine in this. And I'm simply just going to give that a wiggle like so, you see, creating lots of movement. And you could even hit and miss here and there as well. And that even gives it more light and more movement. And then it disappears down into this darker colour, doesn't it? Now, let me sit back a moment and take a look at that. Now it's coming on quite nicely so far, isn't it? Okay, let me see now, let me see. I'm going to use this same brush, I think, and I'm going to get some of that lighter colour. Alright, some Naples yellow and a hint of cadmium yellow. And I'm going to just put some of that, just lighten it up here and there, okay? So, this now is when you just kind of start working on your reflections. I'll put a little bit there. And you start building on your reflections. That's what we're doing. Now I'm going to take a hint of cadmium yellow and a hint of white, okay? And a tiny hint of cadmium red. And I'm going to put that very rich, sort of a sunlit colour just here and there, okay? Because there's a hint of a rich yellowy colour just along there. Okay, you don't have to go crazy. And I'm going to put a little suggestion of that reflection of the little piece we have going across there. And I'm going to suggest it here as well, look, just like that. Okay. So it's coming on quite nicely now, isn't it? Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some of that darker colour and I'm just going to go over here and pull some of that darker colour out into the water, okay? So I'm just creating a little movement now in the water with this dark colour that I have. Put a little bit of it there, see? And it's basically just looking at the reference photograph and just, you know, not copying it, but just making it kind of similar. Just looking at where the darks are going. They're going right out, aren't they? Right out here and there, right into that bluey colour. Not a little bit there, you see? And I suggest a little bit then just along here as well. And that's all adding to the movement of the water, isn't it? Okay. And let me darken a little just there. So, how is this coming on so far? Let me pull a little small couple of darks across Just here and there. Okay. And I'm going to pull some sienna with burnt umber. Just a little there, along the edge of that, okay? Not too much, just a hint. Now stand back and let's take a look at this. No, that's not bad now so far. It's coming on. It's not too bad. Not too bad at all. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some mauve, okay? I'm going to mix a little mauve. I can see a tiny amount of mauve just down here in the blue, okay? On the reflection, just on the reflection. So I'm taking a little bit of that, a bit of crimson and a bit of phaylo blue. Just a hint, okay? And it's not dark. It's just a very subtle mauve. Let me just take a look now. There, that's the colour, okay? I'm going to just soften some of that through, create little ripples and soften it through here and there, okay? Into that black. And again, that mauve colour, you see, it just sort of brings everything to life, doesn't it? Let me go over here and add a little touch of it there, and it's sort of going to soften then and dissipate out into the water, okay? Just a little. I'm dragging my dry brush now. It's almost completely dry, but I'm just softening some of that mauve outwards and softening it into the water, okay, as it goes off. You see? Isn't that lovely? You can pull some through here as well. And that's just, it just sort of brings it to life, doesn't it? Just a little. Isn't that lovely? See, isn't this coming on lovely now? And this is just a nice, simple, relaxed tutorial. I'm really happy with how this is turning out, to be quite honest. I'm really happy. I admit, I didn't think it was going to look this well when I was first looking at the reference photograph that Rob gave me. I didn't think it would turn out this well, to be quite honest. So I am pleasantly surprised. You see, you don't know until you try. Isn't it great? Just, you know, certain things happen and it just works out much better than expected. And that's the beauty of oil painting, of painting in general. That's the fantastic thing about painting, you know. You just don't know what's going to happen. Let's take some darker colour. So I go with some burnt umber. And I put some burnt umber in over here. Just remember, when painting water like this, you always keep your brush strokes horizontal, okay? Left to right, left to right. Never like this, okay? Or at an angle like this. Because the natural water, the natural light of water is always horizontal. Whatever it's reflecting, okay? That's the way nature is. It's always horizontal. Just remember that. And let's put a little bit of darker colour in. It's basically the same case what we did on this one, all right? It's kind of pretty much the same principle. We take a hint of cadmium yellow with a hint of sienna, and I'm going to put a hint of that colour in as well. Okay. I'll take a hint of white. It's more of a pasty colour, isn't it, on this one. I'll take a hint of white with Naples yellow. I'll just soften that down. Alright, then I'm going to go back to my round brush again and do that dark line in the middle. Let's go for some nice burnt umber with a hint of black, okay? And let's just put that in. A bit more burnt umber in this. Okay, how's that? It's a nice painting now. It's coming on lovely, I must say. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm very pleasantly surprised with this. Okay, I'm going to take some that burnt umber and that black again. Alright, and I'm going to bring some of this dark colour into it as well. Alright, just here and there. Pull it out, and then back into it here. And it gets very kind of wiggly down here, doesn't it? There's a lot of darks kind of coming into it over here. Okay. So, this is all coming on quite nicely, isn't it? And just keep sitting back, okay? It's very important to keep sitting back every few minutes. So the next thing I'm going to do now is, I'm thinking I might start some of the lights on the bridge. So reflecting all of these uprights here and the arches. I think that's the next step, would you say? I could continue on down and get this done here, perhaps. Let me see. Yeah, I'll put in this colour first, look, alright? Let's just do that. Let's put in that colour first. I'm going to get another brush. What brush would I use for that? A nice big brush. Okay, go for this nice big flat one here. And this is so enjoyable because I'm learning here now as well. You know, I never proclaim to know everything about painting. So this is great for me. I'm learning as well. Let's mix a nice rich colour. Let's go for some phaylo blue, little black, little crimson, a little white, okay? And I'm going for a darker colour because that will give you the depth in the water. The water, rather. That will give you that feeling of depth in the water. So a slightly darker colour than the sky. Now when I say slightly, you can even see on the reference photograph, it's a fair bit darker, isn't it? So I'll just lay down a darker colour first and then we'll work some lights into that. Okay? Is that a good idea? Let's do that. Go along there very gently like that. I won't go into my bridge too much. Mix a bit more of that colour, some blue, some grey and a little crimson. So I'm not going into my bridge too much because I want to use my flat brush for that instead, you see. So what I'm going to do now is take a little bit of white and I'm going to sort of the impression of the clouds just in the sky, okay, you see, just here and there. Similar to what I did up here earlier. So just putting a little white through here and there, just to give that impression of some of the cloud up in the sky, reflecting down into the water. You see what I mean? It's just to rough it up a little bit. I'm not being perfect and I'm not trying to be absolutely perfect with this. Let me just work a little bit of it through here and there. Then I'm going to take my soft brush again and let's just soften all of this out. But not too much, okay? I'm still going to leave, you can see the impression of some clouds in the water, but not too much, okay? Rightio. The next step is I'll work some of my dark into this colour, and I'll add some lights here with my flat brush. Now this wonderful flat brush that I used, okay, let me get that nice and clean, and I'm going to turn my tissue over. It's always a good idea every now and then to turn your tissue over, or even replace your turpentine as well if you feel it's getting dirty, okay? It's always a good idea to do that. Let me give this a good clean here now, because I have some yellowy colour in that, and I'm going to go into some darker colour. I'm going to start with some dark. Let me get some black, a little brown, and I'm going to start with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling this darker colour out into this, you see, like that, creating little ripples and creating movement on the water. That makes sense. Okay, because that edge there is very, very rough, isn't it? It's really going out into the water. So already now you can see it's starting to come to life, isn't it? And what I would say to people who are going to do this type of a tutorial, just take your time. I find a lot of people, a lot of artists, when they're doing, especially amateurs and beginners, they just tend to rush along trying to get it done quickly. You know, take a break, stop halfway through, go and get a coffee. You know, don't be rushing to try and finish it, because it will show. I think it will show at the end of the painting that you kind of rushed through it, and I see that a lot. You know, I look at a lot of paintings, especially from beginners, and I think, you know, if you just took your time with that tree or took your time with that mountain or something like that, you know, it would look 10 times better. You know, I just find a lot of people tend to try and rush along to get something finished quickly. Even I myself do it from time to time. It's not good practice. You should kind of just take your time. There's no rush whatsoever. It's not going anywhere, you know. Painting will still be there tomorrow. If you want to take a break, just take a break. Okay, let me have a look at this now, see what this is looking like here. A little bit there. Yeah, not bad. That's not bad. Now, it looks like there's a sheen there, but you can see the shine from the window. I have a window behind me and there's a shine just coming in. The light is hitting the canvas just on that side. So it's showing a little bit of a sheen there. Okay, so I apologise for that. I probably will cover the window there with something in a moment. Let me just fill in some of this dark colour here now. So a little tiny black. And I'm going to just create some movement. You see, just create a little movement in the dark. And I'm doing all this before I start doing my lights, my lighter colours. Just to give a bit of movement. Now, see, there we are. I can even soften that together as well, just a little there. And I'm going to take a small round brush now just for a second, and I want to just pop a little light through here and there. Just on that one, okay? I just want to make it a little bit more noticeable. There we go, that's fine. Perhaps even a little just along there. Okay, I will leave it at that. I don't want to overdo all this. I might take a little Naples yellow actually. Put a little hint of Naples along there, like that. Okay. Yeah. I'll leave it at that for now. I can work away on that in a moment. Something else I noticed, what I want to do is just take some green, okay? I just want to mix a dark green there for a moment. Let me just get some dark green mixed. I just want to put some green up there as well through the reflection, all right? I'll show you what I mean. So I have a little dark green there. Just want to put some of that through the reflection as well. You see, just giving it a little life there, just to show the green as well, coming in and out of that light. Okay, just like that, you see. And maybe just a little bit here as well. You see, just a little bit, just, okay. There. We are not doing too badly at all, are we? Okay. What time have we got? Oh, I'm just checking battery power. Okay. 50 minutes worth of battery left. Well, that's what it says, but it goes down very, very fast. Okay, I'm going to clean my flat brush. I'm going to start putting in a little couple of lights just in the water down here, okay? Just a handful. I must get some fresh turpentine, fresh thinners, or rather. You can see a little bit of linseed oil in this. Turpentine and linseed oil. Just a little. There we go. It makes a fantastic medium, and I must take a sip of tea. A nice strong cup of tea. I love a strong cup of tea. Let's take some white, put it in here just to lighten that colour, and I'm just going to go in and around some of these, add a couple of lights in here and there, okay? It's really just to create movement in the water here, that's all. And I know you're probably thinking, well, I'm going over a lot of the stuff I did earlier, but that's okay. Because when I was doing the clouds earlier on, I didn't think I was going to be doing this, you see. That's the great thing about painting, is that it changes as you go. It always changes. So just creating some movement in the water. Now, I'll go back to my little round brush. So that's quite a nice brush. Take some white, and I'm just going to give it a little bit more definition just here and there, okay? You see? Just a little. And I don't want to go overboard with this. So there. My apologies. How's that? A little better? Okay, let's start doing some of the lights. I'm going to use the same round brush. And what I love about this round brush, especially now this is just a number 3 round, okay? It's a soft synthetic, but when you put plenty of paint on it, you actually get like a little flat brush as well. You see? It's fantastic. It really, that's why I love soft synthetics, because you can mold them into different shapes. Okay, let's go with some of this lighter colour. We used the mauve, didn't we? So let's go with a nice mauve. Let's make a mauve. Let's take some titanium white, a little phaylo blue, and some crimson. Okay, and I'll kind of add to this now as I'm going until I get the colour I feel will be right for this. A little bit more blue, a little bit more crimson. I might try a hint of burnt umber. And I don't think that's bad. I think that might be fairly good. Let's try this. I'm going to start with some of the arches, okay? And I'm going to make them nice and wiggly, you see? Just like what we did earlier on. So it's just a little impression. Now I think it needs to be slightly warmer. Some burnt umber and a little crimson again. I'm thinking a slightly warmer kind of a browny pink hue. Yeah, so we're getting there. Okay, let's try this one. Let's go a little bit warmer again. Pink and burnt umber. I'm just giving it just the impression of that light on the outside, okay? Just a little. I don't want to make it a solid line. What you don't want is a solid line like this. See, just give it a little wiggle here and there. And that will tie in nicer with the rest of the reflection. Okay, you see? Now, need to add a bit more around. You can hardly really even see it around here. It kind of disappears into the darker colour. Now let's start doing some uprights. I think I'll stick with this colour, it's quite a nice colour. I'll put a suggestion of that piece just there. And then I'm going to go little wiggles. I'm not going to do too many wiggles on this. Because I don't want it to look too wiggly. You see, just like that. Okay. Just a little suggestion. And we have one. You can draw an imaginary line like this. And then let's say here, okay? And we have another one around here. Another one around here. And one in the middle here. Just suggestions, that's all. Okay. Not bad. I'll go with that. Okay, let's go to our center one over here. So you can kind of hit and miss. You see the way I kind of hit and miss there now in some of them. So as if the water is really moving around. There we go. And a little, just put one along here, okay? So, nice and simple, okay? I didn't overdo it. I didn't make it too complicated. What I'm going to do now is take a little black, alright? Just a little black on its own. And I'm going to add a little dark into some of that as well. Just to suggest the real dark sides in there. Those little dark corners, okay? Just sharpen them up a little bit. And let's go along here, let's add a bit down like that. Now I'm going to take a little of that lighter kind of grey colour there, and I'm just going to go in slightly to some of these. And what that does, what I'm trying to do is kind of tie these in with the rest of the reflection, with the rest of the water. Do you understand? Just sort of merge them together a little bit. See, I'm just kind of dragging my brush through just here and there. Just softening them in to the reflection, side to side, just a little. Okay, it just helps make it a little bit more on the natural side. All right. Now, what I will do is, just ever so slightly, ever so slightly, I'm going to take my soft brush and very gently, hardly even touching them, some just here and there, I'm going to pull some of them just horizontal, okay? I just want to soften them ever so slightly in. I don't want to kind of overdo all of this now, but just ever so slightly. I'll go back to my bigger brush. And let me have a look now. I'm going to sharpen up and strengthen some of those darker colours, okay? I think they need to be slightly stronger. So along here, for example, just strengthen the colour just slightly. And I didn't copy it exactly. I didn't copy the reference photograph exactly the same. You know, I kind of like to make it my own as well. Right. How's that? That's not bad at all, is it? I am quite happy with that. What I will do is, I can see just over here, there's a couple of lights popping through the water. Here and there. And I'm going to take some black then and sharpen up some of these ones here, just to give it more of a punch, I suppose. Do you know where they kind of come out into the water? And add one or two along over here. Okay, you can kind of get the idea. And I'll take a little bit of that and I'll strengthen. Let's take a little bit of brown actually as well. We'll strengthen that one over here. And also strengthen some of these. As well, okay. And I really like those up there, they're quite nice, aren't they? Those darks kind of coming out into the water over there. Quite nice, I like those. And I don't see any reason to continue on with this. I think if I keep going, I may just overdo it. I might just take a little white, a hint of blue, and a hint of pink. Okay, I might just make a nice mauve there for a moment, and just add a little of that in here. A little bit across there. Take a little of that light colour and pop some of that in here and there. And I might just take some more of that dark actually and come out here just a little bit more. Give that more of an impact. Isn't that nicer? Give it more form. And perhaps even drag it out slightly further, because there's a lot of movement up there in that water. Okay. And my friends, I am going to call that finished. I'm very, very happy with this painting. I need to sign this. Take some black, come down here. S. Conway. I know I should probably sign them a little better and a little more fancier than that. One thing my mother always said to me, she said, you need to do your signatures a little better. It's just, I suppose, it's just something that kind of stuck with me. Now I'm just taking a little white and just putting a hint of light just here and there with my detail brush, okay? You can go along now with your detail brush if you want to put little details in. Just to give it a little sparkle here and there. Now you don't have to if you don't want to. If you're happy with how your reflection has turned out, just leave it at that, okay? One thing I always say is try not to doodle too much after when you finish a painting. Try not to kind of overdo it. So I'm going to leave it alone. Let me zoom in and show you what we have created. Oh, I forgot one thing. I did forget one thing, didn't I? There's a little light catching there. Okay. And I have a little reflection of this as well to do over here. Just a hint. Okay. And I just want to fix one little piece just here, okay? No, that's better. And there we are, my friends. A nice painting of some reflections. I think the most eye-catching part really is the light under those arches, isn't it? That light is just fantastic. Coming down. And remember, just lots of little wiggles, okay? Just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And there you have it. Rob, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me just turn the camera now for a moment and you can speak to me, or I can speak to you properly. There we are. Oh. And that's it. Rob, thank you so much for the reference photograph. Thank you for your support, more importantly, and I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think, if you've got some hints and tips, or even just a little inspiration. That means I've done my job. That's what I'm here for, to inspire you to try different things. Try to keep it simple if you can, but every now and then it's nice to go into a little bit of detail, I think, isn't it? So go on, have a go. Even if it's something similar, at least now you have an idea of how to get a really nice reflection in a painting, okay? So try it and let me know what you think. Do send your stuff to me if you would like me to answer any questions or just to show me how you're doing at stephenconway12@gmail.com. You can pop over to Patreon as well. There's lots more tutorials over there if you want to support me on Patreon. That's it really. I will be starting that very big one very soon. That might make a nice tutorial. So stay tuned. Do subscribe and I will see you next week again, my friends. God bless and happy painting. Take care.